What's up, guys? Happy Sunday. Welcome to another edition of Gate 7 International. I'm your host, Adi, and I'm joined by my good friend and most regular co-host of the day, Costas Llanos. Costa, how you doing, buddy?
I'm the most regular co-host of the day. That doesn't sound very too good for Gate 7 International. We gotta up the ante, but I will say this. There's not a bigger heart. There's no one works harder for this podcast than Aris Bouloubasis, and I'm gonna say this. This is the father of Gate 7 International. He's the godfather of Gate 7 International. He's the heart and soul of Gate 7 International. And for that, my good sir, I salute you.
Thank you so much for the kind words, Costa. I appreciate it. It's a team effort here. This wouldn't be able to run with any one individual, but I do appreciate it. Thank you. Guys, while you're tuning in, don't forget to like and subscribe if you don't already. Every engagement helps us find more and more people. We are on the road to 4,000 subscribers. So every engagement helps us move up in the algorithm, and it helps us find more red and white fans. So you can do that. You can also support us on Patreon. There's a lot of great stuff going on Patreon. You get up to 2 episodes a month if you're part of the expanded tier. Merch is coming. So merch tier matrons get unique merch that's only available to them. And then, of course, for $1 a month, you can be part of our Patreon WhatsApp group where we share data. We share some of our inside scoops before we release them on social media, or in some cases, sometimes we don't even share them. It depends on what it is, but you get that inside access, that exclusive access, if you are part of the group. So now that that's out of the way, we can kind of get into some of the meat and thick of it here. I will be dropping a link for any of you that want to join us. You can join us. A link so that you can join, maybe have a chat, ask a question. Today is a mailbag day, so we got a lot of questions already from social media, some DMs, a couple of other things. But before we get into the mailbag, we would be remiss if we did not at least chat a little bit about the international break and what has been going on for our Greek national team. As expected, 2-0 win against the Republic of Ireland.
Did we expect it? Were we certain that we would beat Ireland? I don't think it was expected. I think we're still having a bit of. Well, I think we have a bit of a JVS hangover, and there were quite a few question marks again about the squad selection from Gustavo Poyet.
Look, in that respect, yes, that's 100% true. I do agree with that. But I expected a win. I mean, this Republic of Ireland team wasn't special the first time we played them. We know that they've been in a little bit of turmoil. And yeah, it was an away match, so I wasn't expecting us to be as dominant as we were in the first leg, but I did expect a comfortable win. And one thing we can give to Gus Poyet with this international break, or I should say with the Greek national team, is that against the smaller clubs where under previous management, such as JVS, such as Skibby, and
Skibe was good. Skibe was good. JVS was a tragedy.
I'm talking about latter-day Skibby.
Latter-day Skibby.
Not early days.
Ethniki Mikonu.
And then, of course, we're not going to speak of the disaster that occurred between him and JVS. But anyway, a certain Greek coach that will not be named. Anyway,
we played derbies with Kosovo under JVS.
Exactly.
That's how bad it is. We played derbies with Kosovo.
And this right here is what I mean. Gus Poyet so far, the games that we should be winning, we are winning. And it's usually pretty convincing. But whereas before, where under JVS we didn't know what we were getting against the small teams, but sometimes we would come up big against the big teams. Under Gus Poyet, there's nothing to suggest that we can offer anything in those games. So we're winning the games we're supposed to be winning. That's one thing. But we don't show anything against some of these top teams. Maybe France, you can say, okay, you know what, we were holding for the draw, 1-0. But to me, that felt a lot like the Spain win, or the win we had against the 0-1 against France. To me, also felt more like a fluke that we didn't lose by more than anything else. But that's just my opinion. So that being said, that's why I said I expected to win against Republic of Ireland, because under Gus Poyet, these smaller teams, these games against the smaller nations, we should be winning. Ideally, we are winning under Gus Poyet. In a normal world, maybe we wouldn't be as excited about that. It would be the expectation. But this is now what he's done. There's balance, of course, because as I mentioned already about the bigger teams, but he's at least been able to do that. And we do have a comment here about this from Vasilis Aramantidis. Masura strikes again. I wish he played like this for Olympiacos too.
He does. He does play for Olympiacos like that as well. He scores goals for Olympiacos as well so far this season.
Actually, and he has one of the highest goal conversion rates for Olympiacos this season.
Yeah, of course, of course.
We
Yeah, he does
posted
play
a
for
graph
Olympiacos
on
like
social
that.
media. I actually didn't include it in the charts I have for us today, but 30% goal conversion. That means that if you take the goals that he scored divided by the total shots he's had, he's one of the highest. He's only beaten by Jovetic and Daniel Podence. They're the only two players on this team with a higher goal conversion rate than Masouras. Masouras, look, we all know that he can be inconsistent, and because of the nature of how he plays, if he's not scoring goals, he's otherwise seems pretty useless to a lot of people. But he's scoring for the Greek national team. Costa, you had a wonderful stat about when he scores, we win. If Masouras is in the game and he scores, we tend to win, which was a very interesting stat. And he's been one of the better players, at least for the Greek national team, one of the best we can say, just with that goal scoring record. And
if we get a penalty
really
against the Netherlands, I think be smart if we let Masouras take that one then.
Yeah, well, that's a different story. That's a different story altogether. But what did you make of this game? We'll talk very briefly about it before we move into the mailbag. But what did you make of this game? Greece against Ireland. Anything really stand out to you, or are you just more concerned about what's about to happen against Holland?
Well, I mean, one thing that really shocks me about the Ireland team is how bad Evan Ferguson has been in the last two games between Greece and Ireland, because Evan Ferguson is killing it in the Prem, and people are already talking about interest from Chelsea and Newcastle and Tottenham and Arsenal. But I saw nothing from him against Greece. Now to what everybody cares about, Greece here. I gotta say, I am worried about the center back duo of Dinos Mavropanos and Panos Retsos. It doesn't work for me. There were mistakes at the back. There was a bit of inconsistency, and now they're about to face much tougher opponents in the Netherlands in a must-win game. But all in all, like other than that, I think we saw some really good performances. So this has Vlachodimos again making some important saves. Some good balls by Tassos Bakasetas as well as Petros Mandalos, I would say. Kostas Tsimikas, we can still see the lack of momentum, the lack of rhythm because he doesn't play for Liverpool. I've said it before on social media that that new contract Kostas Tsimikas has signed. I really hope the contract includes something in writing along the lines of, okay, I was a team player so far, but from now on, you're going to be giving me more playing time with Andy Robertson's contract running out soon and him getting older. I'm going to be getting more time and I'm going to be the next guy at left back. Greece needs that. Greece needs a player like Kostas Tsimikas at his best. We saw what he can do when he's not playing with this amazing assist for Yorgos Giacomakis. And of course, you got Yorgos Masouras scoring again for Greece. To be honest, a lot has been said about who's the best Greek player, with Kostas Fortounis being left out. A lot of people within EPO want us to believe that Tassos Bakasetas is the best Greek player. And my opinion is that if you think Tassos Bakasetas is the best Greek player on the planet, you are simply a moron. But I feel like Yorgos Masouras is making a very strong claim as Ethniki's best player so far. Very important goals, very important assists. Hopefully, he's going to keep it up now with the Netherlands and France. What did you make of the game? Your mic is off, pal.
Rookie mistake again. I swear it happens at least
You
once a show.
You made me think that my mic is off again because I'm using new equipment here, and you made me think that my equipment is off again.
Oh God, it happens. Feels like once a show, but with regards to the game, funny enough, the stats for Greece were not very impressive. Look, we were clinical, and you're not going to be amazing, right? You're not going to outdo the other team in every game, especially some of the smaller leagues. So it's important that when you're not having the best day at the office, that you're getting the job done. And we did score 2 goals. Both of them were our only 2 big scoring chances of the game. We scored both of them, so you like to see that. And They did have opportunities, not really. I think they only had one big scoring opportunity, if if I remember my Y Scout correct. But they did have a flurry of opportunities, and they definitely were moving the ball a lot better this time than they did in the first round against us. But by that time, when they started to get their foot on the ball more, we were already 2-0 up. You do worry sometimes a little bit about the fact that we let them. It seemed like we were letting them get back into it, but again, nothing I was really worried about. I expected a win. If we had drawn or lost, I would have been fuming, but a win was what I expected. What I am much more concerned about is this game against the Netherlands, because this is it. I mean, we have to get a result against the Netherlands here, or we will not qualify through this stage for the Euro Cup. And
Even
what I
a
did
win
not
is
like,
not. Even a win is not enough. Sorry.
right,
Go on. We'll cover
right,
that
no,
later.
but and you're absolutely right. We needed a win to have a chance because we won our Nations League group, we still have a chance to qualify out there. But what I did not like, there was a comment by Gus Poyet, and that I really did not like, Costa. And I know you spoke to him. You had that lovely interview that you printed with the chat you had with him. But I got to say, I did not like, there was a comment he made. I think it was a interview he did with Sportle, where he mentioned that he didn't expect to be, or that he said that we were never going to get second place in this group. It was going to be third place.
I didn't read the interview, but not good.
Right. I don't like that comment, because you know that we are gunning for that second spot. And I'm sorry, I have to disagree. Just because you played the game poorly against the Netherlands doesn't mean we don't have what it takes to beat them. This Netherlands squad it's not like the squads that Holland has had in the past that I grew up watching. Sorry, it's just not. It's a complete, the United States almost beat this same Dutch team. I'm sorry, they're not special. So I don't like the comments that he made there that, realistically, we were never going to come second. If that is your attitude about this, the fact that you won Nations League doesn't mean anything. That's supposed to be a second chance. You don't come in there and say, we never had a chance to qualify, because that's false. We did have a chance to qualify. You messed it up against Netherlands the first time. Now this is your chance to get it right. You pick these players, and you're going to die by these choices, or you're going to succeed by these choices. That's it. I did not appreciate those comments, and I'm still a little bit annoyed about it. But if he beats Netherlands, then that's it. He is exonerated. Costa, we've talked about this before. He wins, he gets the qualifications, he's exonerated. He doesn't, then he's a failure, just like JVS is. Plain and simple.
I wouldn't say just like JVS. I mean, the guy was a clown. And to be fair, though, I want to take this back, what I just said, because JVS had a major tragedy in his life with the passing of his wife.
Yes,
so I do want to take that back, and I do apologize if I offended anyone with that comment, especially John van Schip. I've said it before on this show that I think John van Schip is and I was told that when I was in the Netherlands, that he is a nice guy, unlike all those other Ajax legends. He's not arrogant, etc. But I feel like he will. If Poyet doesn't get us in the Euros, I don't think he's worse than JVS, because he brought some real balance. Like you said, at least we're beating the teams that we're supposed to beat, compared with JVS when we were playing derbies against Kosovo. But we can't. The thing is, we can't hold a candle against the big teams with Gus Poyet. In my interview, I just asked him, and I explained to him, the thing is, I need to say this. I've spoken to Gus Poyet quite a few times, and I like him. I like him as a person. I liked him as a footballer. I like him as a manager. He knows his shit. As a player, he won the UEFA Cup with Chelsea and Saragossa. He won Copa del Rey with Saragossa. He won the FA Cup with Chelsea. He won Copa America with Uruguay. The guy knows his shit. He's in no way a fraud. And he's been really nice to me. We've had some really nice conversations about Tottenham and Chelsea together. And we've had some really good conversations about Greece. I had to ask him, about Duvikas and Fortounis. Obviously, I know Fortounis has retired, but he wasn't part of the first two squads, in the part of the previous two squads. I imagine he wasn't part of the last squad before his retirement as well. Douvikas has been ousted. Last season's Eredivisie top scorer, already 2 goals in 5 appearances for Celta. Kostas Fortounis killing it with Olympiacos. The best player in the Super League last season in the second round by far. And he didn't really answer my question. He didn't really cover me, in my opinion. He basically said, I call up whoever I feel like is needed for those two matches, like whether I need to get players up front, whether I need to get players at the back.
Right.
And basically what he said, he's telling me basically I need players based on the demands. So he didn't really answer my question, because you can't tell me that Kostas Fortounis cannot be part of this team in any way, shape, or form, even as an impact player. Like I said it in the podcast in the past, that if you had Fortounis coming in for the last 20 minutes against the Netherlands with the score of 3-0, maybe we could have gotten a goal, which would have made the next match easier in terms of we don't have to win 3-0 to not worry about France. We would have to win 2-0 without worrying about France. And what we're going to do. Douvikas scores all those goals. We don't have a center forward who's really killing it like Kostas Mitroglou was or Nikos Anastopoulos was. And Greece doesn't have a lot of depth. And when you're telling me I need to bring players that are going to help me, you see others like Zavelas, who was a free agent until recently when he joined Atromitos, who are hardly playing at top level right now, who are not playing at top level right now. Foudas hasn't scored a single goal in Turkey. I wonder how many people on the chat can tell me where Hatzgiovannis plays right now. I just cannot see any star power in this Greece team. I cannot see the player that's going to push this team forward, to make this team take that extra step towards slaying that dragon, slaying that giant that we have in front of us. Bakasetas is not that guy. Like I said, Bakasetas is a good player, a very good player, but not the best, not in any way, shape, or form. I cannot see that one player is going to push us forward. I feel like Kostas Fortounis had that. Douvikas has that with his goal-scoring charts, which is why I'm not very confident. At the end of the day, and I'm going to close with this because I'm waffling, every manager has his own players. Every manager has his favorites. Look at Gareth Southgate, who in no way, shape, or form is being ordered by the FA to call up players. He still calls up Harry Maguire, even though he is the 6th choice centre-back at Manchester United, behind a 35-year-old Johnny Evans and Luke Shaw, who's a left-back. He calls up Calvin Phillips, who is completely forgotten at Man City, with Pep Guardiola preferring centre-back John Stones and forward Bernardo Silva at number 8. He left out James Ward-Prowse, who's killing it at West Ham, and I'm afraid we're going to find out exactly how much he's killing it when we face them. Because I don't know if you know it, Ward-Prowse has scored the exact same amount of free kicks in the Premier League as one David Beckham.
Yeah.
So every manager has their little tick. Every manager has their favorites. So before we throw, like you said, before we have a go at Gus Poyet, call him whatever we want to call him, all managers are like that. Gareth Southgate keeps calling his own guys, even though they're not playing at all. He called up Jordan Henderson, who's playing in Saudi Arabia, which is a shit league. It's even worse than the MLS, where Yakumakis is. So everybody has their favorites. And like you said, Aris, and I'm closing up, and that's my final sentence on the matter. If he gets us through, then good for him. If he doesn't get us through, then he needs to reconsider a few things.
Absolutely. A couple of comments on that before we move on to the next topic. From Vasilis Aramatidis, I pulled this up earlier. The national team with Costa would be at a very high level. We may be good now, but imagine if he was part of the squad. And then a comment here from Nikos R. The national team needs to call up Zafiris before Norway does. He would be the perfect number 8 at a position that is very thin for us, where we don't have a lot of quality. Wouldn't be against that either. Now, Costa, while we're on the topic of Kostas Fortounis, there was a great article written by our co-host Martial, and I really encourage you guys to read it. It's very well done. We have it. He wrote it in French, but we have it translated in English for you as well. You can always Google Translate to whatever you need it to be. if you don't like French or English. But there was a really great discussion in that article, and the whole point of the article is it's talking about Costa is our captain this season, and I think this is like a French terminology. It basically says, is the suit too big? Is the weight of that captaincy and that leadership role for him too big? It's something that's been talked about and debated with Costa constantly. And then this season, where he has so far been at his best, arguably, that we've seen since he's been back at Olympiacos, is what do we expect? Is this, are we hanging in this on the wrong person? And for this discussion, Costa, we have a data set that we made. It's in Martial's, it's in his article. You can see it there, but this is Kostas Fortounis compared to the competition. Now, this is his stats compared to every attacking mid and winger in the Greek league with at least 125 minutes. So it's a lot of players, about 100 of them, to be exact. And look where he stacks up. I mean, goal creation, he's like almost 100% in multiple things. Same thing in build-up. I mean, progressive leader. Funny enough, as of the end of week 7, he edged out Daniel Podence as the best progressive attacker in Greece. So when we talked about him being the best progressive attacker, it's now Kostas Fortounis, and Podence is number 2. It's incredible. I mean, Costa has done everything for this team, whether it's creating opportunities, scoring opportunities, helping us get into the final third, building up out of the back. You name it, he's done it. He also is right now the second best dribbler in Greece. It's an incredible thing. And you could see it on the pitch. He just goes in between defenders like it's nothing. In Europe, when he comes off the field in Europe, between him and Podence, when they're not on the field, we don't look like we can do anything. And it's really nice. I brought this up in multiple shows now. There's a difference in his personality also. And the way that he now, especially when fouls happen, when he gets into players' faces, when he's speaking up to the ref, I have never seen this in my time and as an Olympiacos fan with Kostas Fortounis. I have never seen him do that. It makes me really feel like he's just different. His personality is different. There's something in him that's different. He works harder. He runs more. Maybe still not running as much as other players like guys like Masouras or El Kabi, but still more than at least we've seen in the past. And he's really doing the things that embody what we want as a captain. Being that presence, being the first person to come to your player's defense. It's you know, you and I have said this multiple times, Costa. But comment from Vasily also. He is the best Greek footballer right now.
He is
the best Greek player. Period.
He is. It's so simple, guys.
It is what it is. Now, he's retired from the national team. We can't talk about that anymore, whatever the case may be. But for Olympiacos, we should be happy very much about what we're getting from Costa. And we actually got a comment about this on the article from Instagram. I'm going to read the comment to you, Costa, because I want your take on this. The individual, he preferred to stay anonymous, so I'm not going to say who gave us the message, but he said that for this Olympiacos, Fortounis is the leader. But in a big Olympiacos, in Olympiacos of the past, he probably would not make the starting 11. And he's referring, of course, to the Olympiacos of the late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay. I'm sorry. No, actually, do finish the comment.
Well, no, that's actually the rest of it is actually about another person. But
okay, I'm sorry.
Excellent talent, but difficult player. That we haven't really had before. But go ahead.
Okay, about the whole great Olympiacos of the past, if he indeed means the late 90s and early noughties, when I watched Olympiacos Batskatopola, that's what happened. I remembered Olympiacos of the late 90s and early 2000s, Olympiacos before Werder Bremen, 2007, where from midfield onwards, we had so much quality. Zelias, Karebe, Yaya Touré, Eroklis Toltidis, Giannakopoulos, Djordjevic, Giovanni, Rivaldo, Okas, Castillo. And at the back, it's an absolute travesty. Amanatidis, Kostoulas, Anatolakis, Mavrogenidis, Kodis. That game with Batska Topola reminded me of Molde, reminded me of Herenfen, reminded me of Maccabi Haifa, reminded me of Rosenborg. That was not the great Olympiacos of the past. You would have teams from some village nobody knows, like Batska, where we couldn't win. That's not Olympiacos, the great Olympiacos of the past. The great Olympiacos of the past is 2007 until 2021, pretty much. So, no, I'm sorry. The late 90s, yeah, we did that thing where we went to the Champions League last quarterfinals and almost made it to the semifinals, but that was it. Other than that, we don't call them the best. That wasn't Olympiacos. If you want to relive Olympiacos of that era, watch this season's Olympiacos in Europe.
Got a couple more comments here. Lakis Gavalas, he actually gave us a very interesting question as well to talk about. But he says, I don't know if it's true, but so sad to hear that Fortounis is the best Greek player. Nolan Lidner Fox, I think last year when Fortounis first started to make his comeback, Poyet came out and said that if he keeps it up, he'll call him up. He just never did. I personally don't believe he was ever going to be called up. I think Gus Poyet has who he has. We don't have to talk anymore about the influence in the national team and who has influence in the national team. But I don't think he was ever going to be a part. Like I don't think Duvikas will probably ever feature just because, and for other reasons that certain other players are involved. But that's a different story.
You just mentioned that Zafiris guy. Well, good luck with that. I mean, others don't make the Greek team right now.
Exactly. So that's, but regarding the Fortounis discussion, I thought it was a great talking point because we get a lot of questions. We didn't get a specific question in the mailbag about Costa, but I wanted to make sure we address this one because Martial wrote the article, and it's a very interesting discussion about Costa, what he's done, and if he's the individual that people can hang their hat on as the leader of the club. And at the end, he also discusses in the article, you should read it about, well, either way, we should be happy about this production because if you take any other Greek team in the league right now and ask them, would you bring Costa in and would he start? Every single team starts him. Every single team brings him in and he's an immediate starter for any other club in the league. That's for sure. So
plus we crumble when he leaves the pitch. He can't play 90 minutes. And when he leaves the pitch against Freiburg and Batska, we crumble. There's no creativity at all.
Exactly.
He's very important for the team. No Fortounis, no party, which is in a way like, and this is very relevant because we're playing Panathinaikos next Sunday, right? So we need El Kabi, we need Retsos, we need Masouras and Jovetic to come back fighting fit. Masouras and Retsos are going to leave it all on the pitch against the Netherlands because they have to win. Greece have to win. They're going to leave it all on the pitch. If one of them gets injured, especially Retsos, if Retsos gets injured, we're screwed. Who's going to play? Freire and Poroso? We're screwed. Doi. But that's the good thing about Fortounis and the fact that Poyet and maybe Epo are not big fans of him. It's the fact that he's going to be fighting fit for this match. And we're going to have that creativity. We're going to have maybe our best player ready for this match. So, silver linings.
Yeah, you're not wrong, man. You're not wrong. In that case,
Freire will be fit for Pau. Murzano. Freire will be fit. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Ari.
No, you're right. Just I'll bring the comment up so everybody can see this for this question. Yes, he will be
ready.
fit. That's correct. But no, Costa, everything you said absolutely right. Our co-host Costa Levoyanis in a previous episode had said we should be thanking Epo for making the decision because now we get the best of him. We don't have to worry about him getting hurt, and he's 100% right. So we'll leave that part of the Fortounis discussion. And just a quick update, get your votes in on the poll about what you think will happen against the Netherlands. So far, everyone's very pessimistic, but we'll revisit the poll at the end of the show to see what everybody thinks. But somehow I'm not too surprised. Now, for one of the first mailbag questions, this was a question that was asked actually a week ago, before we even knew we were going to do mailbag. But about a week ago, somebody asked me this, and I told them, I said, just wait because we'll touch on this probably in a week or so. So I was asked about why, and for those of you that may not be aware where the question came from, on social media, I talked about Alexandropoulos, and in our previous show, a discussion we had, and I had said personally, aside from the fact that we want different youth to succeed here, I really wanted Alexandropoulos to succeed at Olympiacos. Regardless of the fact that he's an ex-Panathinaikos player. I know some people are hung up on that, but whatever.
I never cared about that. I never cared
Yeah,
about that.
neither did I. I want him to succeed for other personal reasons. And I have right here, guys. I just got it. I just got this bad boy
Represent.
a couple days
Represent.
ago. It came in from the mail from Greece. A lovely Alexandropoulos jersey. And the reason, my personal reason, Costa and the guys already know this, but Alexandropoulos' family is from the Koryo of my Bapu. So there's not a lot of occasions where somebody from a town that's close to your family, where somebody's succeeding on that level that you can support. So this is very close to my heart, at least, because it's a guy from the village, from Eyo or Logo. My Bapu's family was from Logo, which is in Eyo. And it's really cool to have somebody basically from the neighborhood that is having success, whether he was at Panathinaikos, Olympiacos, whatever. He's here. He's playing for us now. He loves it here, and he gives it his all when he's on the field. So that's why I, in particular, have a personal reason for really wanting him to succeed. And I hope he does. I hope he does extremely well. I hope we make the purchase permanent. And I hope I'm not, after a year, going to be saying, well, I've had this jersey for a kid that's only been here a year. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to support him the entire time. And now you guys know my personal reason for really supporting this player, because, he's from my Bapu's Koryo. And I really hope just to see somebody that's from there do very well. Costa, I don't know if you have any comments about the kid, but little bit of a personal thing for everybody here.
I wonder. I wonder. Last time I remember a really good player who was on Olympiacos who was at Olympiacos on loan. Last time I remember that us signing that very good player was Roberto in 2014. Do we remember any other good players that we had on loan that we signed permanently? The most recent one.
Well,
Comment section, do your thing.
let's see. Technically, Retsos was on loan.
That was more of a we had to buy him. That was more of an we had to buy him. But like something like with Ike did with Pineda, for example. Because I really like Alexandropoulos as well. Madi Camara has been a little iffy lately. We said that on the chat against Batska when Alexandropoulos came on. He did a lot more than what Camara did throughout the entire game. And he came on for like the last 20 minutes, and in his first 5 minutes, he did more than what Camara did the entire match. So I wonder, like, will Olympiacos, if Alexandropoulos shines bright, he's already shown really good signs with that big goal against Genk, which pretty much got us in Europe. I don't know, like, will Olympiacos actually sign him?
I don't know. To be honest with you, we have to see personally. I believe we have to see a lot more from him for that to be the case. But if he has the work ethic we've heard about, and Diego Martinez has said great things about him, that he likes him because he and Masuras, Diego Martinez has said, these are kids that I can put on the field. They're going to give everything. They're going to do exactly what I need them to do. And that's good. You want to hear about that. Two quick comments, Costa. This one from Nolan Lidner Fox. Alexandropoulos lacks a tactical understanding, and it's tough as he's 22, not young anymore. Diego Martinez will disagree with you. He will say the opposite, that Alexandropoulos does have the tactical understanding. He has the work ethic. It's something else that he's missing. And then Lakis Gavalas regarding the tight jersey. Yes, my friend. The jersey is a small. It is way too small for me. I'm wearing it for the show. It's it's the wrong size is what was sent, but we're making it work for this show. And
Plus
yes, I probably
Lisbon.
did have too many snacks from the deep dives. Listen, I'm not a young buck anymore, man. I've got 2 kids. I don't
You got
work
2
out
kids,
anymore.
man. And you're fine. You look fine, man. The thing is, Sporting Lisbon will also have to agree to sell him. And if he does well for
Right.
the reason they brought him to Olympiacos was that he could get more minutes, get more time, improve. So if he does improve, then that could be like Joel Campbell when Arsenal just refused to sell him to us in
Yeah.
2014.
Well, I thought that they wanted just more money than we were willing to spend. They wanted 6 million, and we were never going to spend 6 million on him. But that was
Well,
my understanding.
Campbell killed it in the at the World Cup that same year with Costa
Yep.
Rica when they made it to the quarterfinals. So yeah,
Yep.
Arsenal actually rated him highly. They did rate him. They did rate him highly, but it didn't work out at the end. You know, injuries and everything.
Ha, Vasily. I love you, man.
That's a compliment. That's a
That,
compliment
that
right
that's a
there. That's a
compliment, my friend.
compliment.
Here, you don't see all the white hair on the sides. I appreciate it. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Lakis Gavalas wants a Alexandropoulos poll. I
It's
don't
too
mind. I'll
early to
set that up.
determine. Yeah, I mean, yeah, do it, but it's way too early to
You
determine
know
that.
what?
He got called up for the Greek national team as well.
He did. He did. Well, he got called up while he was on the bench for Lisbon too. So I don't know if that actually means anything. But I tell you what, Lagis Gavalas, hold on to that because at the winter break we will definitely do that poll,
Hmm.
100%. But let's see if he gets any more appearances and we get a little bit more of a sample size to go from with him.
Yeah.
Now, moving on from the Alexandropoulos topic, we got a couple more mailbag questions. And guys, if you're in the chat right now, you have any questions, ask them. The topics are whatever you want them to be today. We don't have a set program for you guys outside of, the couple of things that we already talked about. So whatever you want to talk about, this is you guys for the however long we stay live for. But we did get a question. This is the one from Lakis Gavalas. He sent us this one early. Costa, what was the best transfer of the summer so far and the worst transfer? And there was a caveat here because he did say, I believe it was for players that were meant to be starters. Yes. So which on paper do you think was the worst signing of the summer and which was the best? Only players signed as potential starters should be considered. So go ahead. Your best and worst transfer of the summer.
Again, like it's way too early to determine this because like we haven't seen much from Stefan Jovetic, we haven't seen much from Ola Solbakken so far. But so far, what I'm going to say is, in my opinion, the best transfer, which we can easily debate that, I believe. For me, it's Santiago Eze because Olympiacos lost three of their most important players last summer
Right.
in Cedric Bakambu, in Juan Gimbom, and of course Yanin Villa. Yanin Villa was huge for us because even at the beginning when we were terrible, and Villa was probably our best player. He was probably the only thing that kept us going. And then you got Eze coming on, hitting the ground running almost immediately. A lot of runs, covering a lot of area, good balls, very good positioning. And the thing is, he's young, so Olympiacos can make money out of this kid. And this is someone maybe for the future, maybe for another year, maybe two if we're lucky. So I really like Santiago Eze as my favorite. As the worst, I feel like that has the less. There's going to be less debate on that one because I'm going to go with Gustavo Scarpa because there was a lot of noise around that name
Yeah.
last season that he's the best player from Palmeiras, one of the best players in Brazil. He's going to come. People were already comparing him to Giovanni, and he's been absolutely disappointing. And I don't. When he joined Nottingham Forest, he would put up TikToks and videos of him, not acting silly, but being very, very joyous about the fact that he's playing for Nottingham Forest, whereas at Olympiacos, I'm getting the exact opposite. Like he's not too happy to be at Olympiacos. The way I see it, I'm not a body language expert, but that's how I get it. So I'm going to go with Scarpa. So the best one for me on paper so far is Eze. Worst one is Scarpa.
I think for I'm really stuck, to be honest with you, between two. And I guess maybe if he's not a real transfer, we can eliminate one of them. But for me, I'm stuck between Podence and Esse because, both have had great impact since joining here. Esse, especially in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
I put those videos up kind of showing why Esse is so important and why he's so good at what he does. But we can't also neglect Daniel Podence because he literally hit the ground running
He did.
since he joined us, and he has just been very influential ever since that he joined the club. So those two, it's really tough for me to pick between the two, but I think they're both good shots. And then for worst for me, before maybe last week, I would have said Freire because I'm not the biggest fan right now, but
because all of us are big fans. We're huge fans of Freire here.
But I think it's tough because like the Scarpa thing is 100%, especially with all of the Fasaria from last season and then this, and for the little impact that he's had, like he's got to be up there. But like Freire, like it's hard for me to get super upset with him when like our center back area in general just isn't amazing. So that's tough, man. It's tough. But we also have another opinion on this as well. We have
so
Costa
who's your worst? Who's your worst? Wait a minute. Who's your worst? Costa?
I said it's between Freire and Scarpa.
Ah, we have another one. It's between. Okay, Costa, my man, how are you?
How's it going, guys?
Good to see you, man. Give us your best and worst transfer. This is a very good question, I thought, from our good friend Lakis Gabalas. This was his mailbag question.
All right, so let's start with best. Best for me is El Kabi. I'm going to go with El Kabi.
Yeah, of course.
Shout.
That's a good shout.
You guys, Podence. You guys were saying Podence.
I was between Podence and Esse. Yeah.
You went with okay.
And I'm Esse.
So I think if you look at El Kabi as a free transfer signing that kind of came out of nowhere, 9 goals in 13 games, I think it is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 9 goals in 13 games, and they've been big goals in European games. I think he's got 5 in the league, 4 in Europe.
He scored against AEK as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, but you could easily say the best signing is Podence, looking at his numbers as well. But let's be honest, at least for me, I think it's something I expect. Yeah, Podence coming into the team, slotting in. He knows a lot of the players that were there when he was there before. Camara, Fortunis, good chemistry with those players. So, I think Podence is an easy one, but maybe one that's being overlooked is El Kabi. While we have been frustrated with some of his finishing, when he gets the ball, De La Fuente.
He's played half a game. Last season, pal.
De La Fuente, for the record, played half a game in the Spanish Segunda, I noticed the other day. But anyway, yeah, so El Kabi is my best signing, I think, so far. Worse, I think you already mentioned Scarpa because it's just been disappointing. If you consider players that came in and you thought, these are players that can play an important role in the team, and he's just been completely underwhelming until now. And I agree with you, Costa, what you were just saying earlier. He looks a bit disinterested. I mean, he's been posting videos and reels on Instagram of him skateboarding or, some woman skateboarding, God knows where. So are you a footballer, mate, or are you a skateboarder? Like, decide. Do you want to play European football, or do you want to go back to Brazil? Like, just
Tony Hawkinho.
I don't expect anything from this guy at this stage. Yeah. And, I've been reading some headlines recently, and I read a headline, what was it, the other day? Scarpa looks good in training. He's back, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay. I'm really not expecting anything. Completely underwhelming.
The comment from Yorgos Mourtzanos was pretty good. Best transfer this season was Gordon.
I think that's the best signing. I think Yorgos got the best answer when it comes to the best signing. I think it's Gordon, guys. That was huge for us. Huge from us.
Lambro made Kennedy leave.
Labros made Kennedy leave. That is so good.
Making fun of his head tattoo. Oh my god.
The Olympiacos PR team are like, oh my God, this guy's head tattoo. The guys are right. We can't sign him.
We can't sign him, guys. We can't sign him.
Listen, guys, don't laugh because I think I briefly brought up that kid I met at the Greek festival last weekend, and he legitimately thought that Lambro was a huge fan of Ramon.
No.
When I talked to him, like this was a real thing. He didn't realize it was all a joke, that because people were constantly dogging him the whole time. So sometimes the audience gets carried away. But I just want to let you guys know there was a person that really thought that Lambro was a huge fan of Ramon. You guys do that. You guys did that.
Okay.
Oh my God, this is brilliant. Does Labro know?
I told him, yeah.
Oh my God.
It's
Oh my
amazing.
God.
The
Oh,
audience is
Labro, γύρω να πει σε στο τηλεφώνα, μάγκα.
So it's so funny. So funny.
I've said this. When Labros comes back, I think we should just give him an open mic and let him just talk about Freire. That's all. That's the show. That's the show. Labros talking about Freire. Ratings.
So here's an interesting one, guys. Back on that question. So a little bit of I guess a disagreement here in the chat regarding Iborra. Manolo says we should consider Iborra as the worst. Nothing shown so far explaining why we signed him. And then George Yatru comes in and said Iborra was a great backup signing. So for you guys maybe that did not watch the deep dive, Iborra wasn't brought in to play as a starter. He was brought in as a one for leadership quality, certain mentality that he has. Was never going to be a starter for us. That was not his role. He came in to help solidify the back line as a defender, kind of like in the same role Yanin Villa did for us. Whether or not he's better than Yanin Villa is a different discussion we can have. In general, the Ramon stuff is back. Guys, wait for Lambro to come back for these. My God.
This is brilliant, and he was the only one.
But that's what he came to do. He came in as a backup. He's there a lot for the locker room to help us close down games. That's it. And when you're watching the game, that's what he does. He parks himself right in front of the defense, closes down passing lanes, distributes the ball to whoever's next to him. He actually he has a pretty decent accuracy with long balls as well. Not as good as in Villa's was, but fairly decent. And that's all he's there for. He's just to be a backup. He's not a starter by any means. Did you guys have any other expectations from Iborra? Expecting more? I mean, does he strike you as the worst signing, or is he fulfilling the role that you thought he was brought in for? Costa, you go first.
No, I think you pretty much covered everything, to be honest. It depends what kind of expectation you had of the player coming in.
Right.
I didn't expect him to be a starter. I expected him to be someone that would help us in the qualification games with his experience, which is pretty much what he offered. Bit disappointed that he seems to be getting injured quite often so far this season. It's only October. I think he's been injured twice already. I think he's one of those players that we actually missed in Serbia because he wasn't available, was he? I wonder, actually, that is a question that I have about the game in Topola, is if he was available, would he have brought him on to try and solidify things a little bit at the back? Because that's a question mark that I have in general about Martinez's coaching. He doesn't... I think the only time that he's tried to solidify the midfield I can remember is the Genk game. Both at home, well, more at home, I would say, because away we were chasing the game to try and get a goal at the end. He's never changed that midfield formation where he plays with two We've never seen him play a real anchor man. And Iborra, for me, could play that role like late in a game to kind of come on and, have a presence that can help us with, dealing with set pieces with his height. Whether it's, when we're attacking and defending. So now I think, the Iborra shout as worst signing is a bit exaggerated. Like it really does depend what expectations we had of the player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus the question.
Go ahead, Costa. Sorry.
Plus the question. I mean, you basically covered it all. I mean, the guy came in the beginning just for the qualifiers, just to help, get us through and fill in for Villa. And the question was, which one of the players, which signing of a player that was supposed to be a starter was the best signing, and which one was the worst? Yeah. Iborra was not supposed to be a starter, so he's not part of the conversation.
Yeah. It's hard for me to say, our worst signing is a guy that we brought in just to be a backup and just to get us through qualifiers. Like, that's.
Somebody mentioned Brinic as the best signing, which also Brinic is not part of the conversation because he was never supposed to be a starter.
Right. Well, I maybe he was supposed to be more of a regular option before Podence came on the table. We probably would have seen more of him.
I'm not too sure because they got Solbakken as well. So, I mean, I thought Solbakken was, and they also tried to get the Spodov as well. So they didn't think to themselves, here's a starter, but he's not that good. Let's bring someone else.
It's funny. I've been watching the David Beckham documentary on Netflix the last week since it's come out, and episode 3 they start talking about Beckham's move to Real Madrid, and this is why what I'm talking about is relevant. So Beckham signs for Real Madrid, and he's been playing right midfield for 15 years for Manchester United. And who else plays right midfield for Real Madrid at the time? Luis Figo, like one of the best, another one of the best players in the world at the time. And they're interviewing Carlos Queiroz, who's the manager of Madrid at the time. He's like, I've got Figo and I've got Beckham, 2 players in one position. That's a problem. How many players do we have for 2 positions? Like on the wings right now, like the attacking mids? There are so many. And Brinic is one of them. And that's a player that I feel a little bit, if I can say this about a football player. So I feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
He's 21, coming on a transfer from Maribor, shown good things whenever he's come on the first couple of games in the league. Unlucky not to have a couple of assists even. Disappeared.
Yeah.
Disappeared.
Yep.
And you just don't know if and when he's going to get a game. Now I'm reading, he might play for the B team. It's like, how shit is that if you're a player that's transferred in from Maribor? It's like, okay, Maribor plays in Europe. He could have stayed there another season, but now he's not even getting on the bench. And they're talking about dropping him to the B team. It's still something about Olympiacos that annoys me a little bit. Yeah. And just a question that I have about this season in general. Like, maybe we haven't talked about this. I haven't been on the show since the Topola game. But for me, it's very clear that priority number 1 this season is the league.
Yeah.
And they, I think the thinking of the management going in through the transfer window is that, the other teams are playing in Europe as well. They're going to be tired. Squad depth is going to be important. And I think we may have, there's a question mark or a question that we're going to be coming back to all season is, did we overload in those attacking mid positions with, Podence, if you have the opportunity to take him, you take him.
Yeah.
No questions. So back in, so far, have we seen something? We've seen, but no end product.
Flashes, just flashes.
Yeah. Masouras is in great form.
Yeah.
Masouras is in great form. Fortunis looks possibly in the best shape of his career, fitness-wise. and seeing things on the pitch. Who else have we got? Who am I missing?
Biel, we haven't seen much this season so
Biel, we
far.
haven't seen. Yeah, Biel is one of those where we've been saying, should we have sold him this summer? Frankly.
Gustavo, yeah, I don't really agree with that statement personally, but then of course you got because his numbers are not too bad if you think about it, especially in terms of assists. His numbers are not too bad right now. We got Scarpa as well, just to continue this conversation, who we all agreed is our worst signing so far this season. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no room. There's no room for the little Croat.
Yeah.
I will tell you this though, because I was thinking about this. Up until last season, I would have completely agreed with everything you said about Brinic, Costa. But the thing is, Antonio Cordon does have a history to show, does have a record to show of him backing young players and helping them grow. If anything, guys, we need to remember that Cordon was at Monaco when Kylian Mbappé started to rise through the ranks as a teenager, and Cordon did believe in him. And this is his first season. He's been how many months on this job? Very few months. And like you said, the whole point right now, it's action stations because we need to win the league this season. We can't afford not to win it. So I'm not giving up on maybe next summer, seeing a few players on the preseason squad or even seeing other players getting established in the first squad. Someone like Brinic, someone like Bagayanis, someone like Alogeropoulos, someone like Sabutzi, someone like Kostula, someone like Mouzakitis. I understand we haven't seen Jack's squad ever since the B team was created in 2021, but now we have a sporting director who has a history of pushing young talent and a bloody good sporting director. So I'm not giving up on Cordon pushing young talent within the next few months or come next season.
I mean, it's a very good point, Gustav. Now, guys, before we go into the next mailbag question, don't forget we are almost an hour in. For those of you that are still tuning in, don't forget to like and subscribe. The road to 4,000, over halfway from 3,000 to 4,000 as it is. A lot of stuff is coming. We hit 6,000 on Instagram not too long ago. It was like a week and a half ago, Costa. Does that sound right? Anyway, whatever it was, we broke 6,000 on Instagram. Facebook has been chugging surprisingly as well, closing on the 4,000 mark on Twitter. So help us grow the community. Take a couple quick seconds, hit that like button. If you don't already subscribe, give us that follow and help us continue to grow this channel. Now, the next mailbag question is a little bit more controversial. We don't like to talk about this that much on the show. But
we are nevertheless.
But we are nevertheless, because certain charts that we had posted incited a lot of discussion. And the question that I received, now this the person wanted to remain anonymous, and the question was: this season in the Greek league, is the officiating just poor? Or is there a slight towards Olympiacos? Now, before you guys answer the question, we have the stats that we put up on social media. So the first chart here, let me remove the banner so it's not covering the chart. And the first is the fouls that have been called against each team. So Olympiacos is the team that commits the most fouls, that has been whistled for the most fouls, second only to Kifisia. And this is during the course of the season. And then you can see at the bottom some of the teams that have been called the least against. There are PAOK, Aris, and Panathinaikos. Then you have the teams that are awarded the most fouls. And at the top you have AEK, Aris, and so on and so forth. But then at the very bottom of the list, Olympiacos has the least fouls awarded to them, the least calls for them. And the reason this discussion has become a hotbed is because another one of our audience members took the same data from Europe. And in Europe, we receive more favorable calls for us than AEK or Panathinaikos or PAOK. And in terms of the fouls that we are called for, the fouls called against, the least. So it is the exact opposite trend in European games. Now, of course, there's only been 2 of them, than it is in Greece. So the question that we receive regarding this is the officiating a problem, or is it the crap refs? For me, I think the standard of officiating in Greece is just terrible. But this was one of the questions that we received.
Yeah.
I know everybody always believes that there's a conspiracy, but I just think it's just terrible officiating. And, Costa's already talked about certain influences that have Costa C, that is, things that have been discussed and things that are going on in the background. But for me, it's just terrible officiating. Do you guys have any comments on this before we go to the next mailbag question?
About the refereeing, it's not even I think we all know what's going on behind the scenes now. They've picked a new head referee after Bennett quit, and the due process of how that person was selected is a question. But honestly, I don't really want to get into it. I think that come the end of the season, if we play the football that we want to play, we're not going to be having this conversation.
Well, and I think that says something, right? So if this is the case, we're getting the least amount of calls for us, and we're getting called the most against us, right? But we're still at the top of the league. That's what Olympiacos does. Doesn't matter what the refs are doing. If we're playing the football we're supposed to be playing, we win. That's it.
One thing I will say, Ari, is that we've had a nice, sweet schedule so far.
Yes.
In Greece in particular. And when the games start again next weekend, it's Panathinaikos at home, West Ham, and then a difficult trip to Offi, who are looking pretty good this season.
AEK and PAOK.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule coming up. So
and then PAOK, after off it's West Ham in London, and then PAOK at Tuba, if I'm not mistaken.
I haven't looked that far ahead, to be honest. But yeah, those 3 games, man, they're hard. Those are tough games that we've got coming up. Derby, West Ham at home, and must win, and then Offi away. It's going to be a good test.
And then PAOK. It is PAOK, and then West Ham. It is. Okay, so Panathinaikos Sunday, West Ham then in Greece, then Offi in Crete, then PAOK at Karaiskaki, and then West Ham in London.
It's a terrible set of games, man. That's a really tough fixture list coming up.
Yeah.
Really, really tough. And I mean, I pulled up, so this is the table on the left is how the table is in terms of points, how it actually is. On the right, if everybody performed to their XG, and it's really tight. Look, you can see already we're only 3 points ahead of Panathinaikos, and the way things have been playing, if we're talking about long term, if everything is sustainable, this is a 3-horse race. It's between Olympiacos, Panathinaikos, and AEK right now as it stands. If everything remains how it is and the performances continue to go as they should, and having a really tough set of fixtures like this is one of those things that could really have an impact on how the season pans out.
Yeah.
One game at a time. Panathinaikos after the break. Got to do well there. Really, 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 really need to get the 3 points there. And then once we move on from that game, we can talk about other things. But it's a really tough fixture list. I'm trying to think. I remember 2 seasons ago, there was a series of games where it was 2 derbies. We played, I want to say it was, who did we play? 2 seasons ago, it was...
in Europe?
We had Fenerbahce, right? We had Fenerbahce. We had...
that was 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago.
The Antwerp was 2 years ago also.
Yes.
And Frankfurt.
Eintracht Frankfurt, who won it that season.
Right. So, and I remember there was a series of games. It was it might have been AEK and then Frankfurt and then I think it was Panathinaikos after that. And it's just reminding me of that. Really tough. And this is worse, in my opinion, because now you have a team like Offi, who is like a mid-table club, and they're just playing very well. So add to that to the derbies that we're playing as well. It just makes the whole thing even worse. Very tough. Very, very tough situation.
I would like to just I would like to see if we can finish the referee discussion. I would like to say that I do expect a few weird calls against Panathinaikos because Panathinaikos and AEK are getting the best refereeing and the most controversial refereeing so far this season. And I will close this by saying this: when the Premier League released the audio of the VAR team in that game between Tottenham and Liverpool with that Luis Diaz goal, which should have stood, and it was all a misunderstanding because VAR thought he awarded the goal, and the referee thought that they were saying, yeah, that was the right call with the offside. I would have loved it. They're never going to do it. They're never going to do it. Howard Webb actually released it because he wanted to prove that there was no monkey business. He wanted to prove that it was just a misunderstanding and not anything that had to do with fixed games. I would have loved it if EPO released the audio at Tripoli between Panathinaikos and Asteras Tripolis, and Nea Philadelphia between AEK and Atromitos. That would be hilarious. Hilarious.
Oh, God.
It's never going to happen, but I would pay money to listen to the VAR.
It would go something like this. Έλα, μάγκες ήρθαν τα σουβλάκια, πάμε.
Maybe.
Όχι, τι έγινε. Έδωσε γκολ. Τώρα αργήσαμε. Πάμε.
Έλα, δώσε πέναλτι. Εντάξει, close enough. Δώσε πέναλτι.
Basically what happened.
Here's a question from Manul. What about Richards? No game so far. Does he deserve a chance? He's going to be available after the international break.
He will be. He had fitness issues when he joined Olympiacos. He wasn't 100%. Now, apparently, he's either match fit or he's almost definitely match fit right now. He might get opportunity.
How is he match fit, man? How is he match fit?
I'm saying what I'm reading, man. I'm saying what I've read, that he's either match fit or he's very, very close to actually being match fit. That he's going to get opportunities. I don't know, man. I don't know. They asked me a question. I answered the question.
Whether he plays or not.
Do you have inside information about Richards, whether or not he's match fit?
Match fit means he's played matches.
Εντάξει ρε Costa, you know what I mean. He's fit. He's fit.
Okay. It's important though. It's important. So is one thing being fit, like physically fit in training, etc. It's another thing being match fit.
Right.
Like
They're saying he's ready.
They're saying he's ready. He's not in the B team squad list.
Right.
What, they're going to throw him into a first team game after not playing football for a year and a half? Why isn't he playing?
Let's send him back to Nottingham then, Costa. Let's send him back to Nottingham Forest.
Wait. So
he's on loan. He's on loan. Why not?
The reason I'm skeptical about this whole thing is that it's middle of October. You've got a really tough schedule coming up. A player that hasn't played football for over a year and a half. He's not being picked even for the B team. And you've got a manager who clearly likes Kini. Clearly rates him and trusts him. And then you've got a player that you've signed for $4.5 million. Your record transfer. Ortega. You're still not a starter in the team. And then you've got this guy. And for the record, I said, if all three, I think we the three of us discussed this. If all three players are match fit, who's the best? It's Richards.
Right.
Hands down. But he's not match fit. So when is he going to play?
Yeah, but the thing is,
and this is coming to your point, Costa. The way I see it, he starts playing maybe in January. But
the team has been training though, and we haven't had a lot of internationals leaving. We've had a total of 5 senior internationals leaving and 2 more for Greece's reserves in Apostolopoulos and Zoulaki. So they have been training. And obviously, there's a difference between like the Greek league and maybe if we were talking a higher league, I would say yes. There's no way we're going to see him. But I don't know. The Greek Cup is coming as well at some point. Well, I don't know.
Right.
I don't expect to see him at the Europa League, though. I do agree with that. But I don't know, like maybe Asteras Tripolis after, everything after PAOK. I don't know. Let's see. You made some really good points, though.
To that point, I did. I was interviewed by a sports paper in Munich late last week because they were asking about Omar Richards and what's been going on with him. And what Costa just said is exactly what I said to them, because they don't understand why he's not been playing. They know about the injuries, of course, but they thought he should have been playing. They don't understand why he's not playing at Olympiacos. And I told them the same thing. I said, look, he's just getting back to fitness. And for the same reasons Costa already said, I can't see him playing till January because Diego Martinez, we know that Ramon, we miss you. Here we go again. But we know that Diego Martinez is under the gun. I mean, this season, there's a lot of pressure on him. And our European campaign has not gone how we would like it to have gone, especially with the game against Bashka Topola. So I don't see why he's not going to take a risk. Diego Martinez isn't the type of coach that looks like he's going to be taking a risk. No way. It's just not happening. That's how I see it as well. So it's just one of those things. When we have a couple more mailbag questions that we'll get to before we close things up here, guys, and drop any questions that you have. If you want us to go ahead and answer them, we're going over an hour here, so we're probably going to be getting ready to close up soon. But we had a question on Instagram from Manos Gracias. What's happening with Rodine's passport? Kostas Lianos, you had the information before we opened up with this. Do you want to go ahead and run with this one?
I did not have any information, actually. I just, to be honest with you, what I know is that what's been written about it is that he's been trying to get a European passport since August, right. I think. You know more than I do about this, way more than I do. I mean, his wife is half Portuguese, which qualifies him for a European passport. And he's trying to get a European passport. That's all I know. But I don't have exclusive information myself at all about it.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. We had just gone through one of the articles before we opened. That's what I meant. I thought that you remembered it better than me. But yeah, that's.
And to be honest, I don't really care, if I'm being totally honest with you.
I know. Manos is in here in the cup. Oh, I'm sorry, buddy. My bad, Mano. I apologize. I'll remember that next time. Manos Gracias. I apologize, buddy. But anyway, yes. So the whole point is, it would save us. It would save us for the European list. But I think even if that were the case, let's say he does get his passport right within the next month. We can't. Nothing changes for the European list until January anyway, so it doesn't matter. If I'm not mistaken, the rules regarding the list also follow with the passports as well. The passport won't have any bearing on what we can do with our European list until January either way, because as it stands, he is classified as a foreign player. We cannot reclassify him until January either way, even if his passport comes in. Yeah. So either way, it doesn't matter until January. So as long as it's done before January, that's all that matters. Unless for Greece, I mean, but do we have the same restrictions in Greece?
5 foreign players.
But I don't. But I'm sorry. What I mean is our roster for the Greek league, we're not splitting hairs over this, right? So it doesn't really matter unless we're talking about Europe.
It's when we have to put in the matchday squad. We're only allowed to put 5 foreign players, including on the bench. So I think that's been a bit of an issue. Not as bad as in previous seasons, though.
Right, but let's think about who we're really talking about here, right? Esse, Scarpa doesn't really count anymore. Ortega.
Does he though? Does he? I think that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let it keep going. So Ortega, Freire,
Rodinei.
Hesse,
And
Scarpa,
Jackson Porozo.
El Kabi.
El Kabi is not you. Oh, wait, hold on a minute. I thought El Kabi had a European passport.
Hang on. Nope.
Aha.
Nope.
That's then. There you go. Okay.
That's 7.
That's 7 then. Scarpa, whatever. I don't think anybody really cares about that one, but between Jackson Porozo and so then there you go. So I get for Greece, it would be very beneficial then.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That is interesting. And then, well, I guess moving on from the passport issue, the last question that we have from George Yatru: name your top 3 favorite European matches in the past decade. So top 3.
So there goes
European
Verde.
matches. Yeah, he can't go that
Does it
far.
have to be the last decade? Okay, because he's probably young and won't remember some of the older ones.
It's possible. What is in there is the limitation is the past decade. So I will say for European matches at least, the first leg against Manchester United.
Mm-hmm.
So then we're going back to 2013.
That's within the
2013,
past decade,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Okay.
That's in the cutoff. So that's one I can remember where I mean I loved it. I enjoyed every minute of that game. I'm trying to think other games. I mean, we can always say the Arsenal game, right? 2019, 2020.
Yep.
That's 2. That's okay. So now we have to find a third game that would be one of your favorite.
This is yours, yeah? This is yours.
Yeah,
so you've said
that's
United,
Alice's, yeah.
United, Arsenal. Okay, there's a pattern.
And then I mean, the easy one to think about is the game in 2018, in the qualifiers in the group stage, the game against Milan. So that's probably an easy one to say, right? When we beat Atletico Madrid in the group stage, was that more than 10 years ago, or was that like 2014?
No, that was a year after United. That was the same year as
was.
United, only next season.
Got it. Okay, so then that was another one because I just remember thinking, that game I was expecting to get blown out. Atletico Madrid was in the finals the previous season of Champions League.
Yeah.
And I really thought we were going to get destroyed and to come out and very, very surprised.
To make this easy, this is essentially Mitchell onwards.
It is.
That's actually a really good point.
For those that don't remember so well, it's Mitchell onwards, 2013.
Yeah.
That's Mitchell, Nicopolidis, caretaker, Vitor Pereira, Marco Silva, Victor Sanchez, Paulo Bento, Vuzas, Lemonis, Hasi, Lemonis, Gondis, Garcia, Cordis, Martins, Corberan, Mitchell, and Nico Martinez. Just to list all the managers since then.
Jeez.
So what did you have? What were your 3 in the end? United at home, Arsenal away. Wait, the El Arabi game.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, okay.
And then I said the easy one would be Milan, but for me, like I still the Atletico Madrid game for me, just because of my expectation going into that game, really that's one that sticks with me because I thought we were going to get, for lack of a better word, sodomized, and then we came out with something like that. That was something that really, really, really impacted me because of how bad I thought we were going to get destroyed. So it was just a surprise. Maybe the surprise factor is what did it for me. So that's one I think about in the past. I
am with Man United at home because I covered that game, and I'll never forget how I was live blogging this game and my phone was blowing up after each goal, and I didn't celebrate a single goal because I was working. And I remember when I was working for a website called Football Fancast. And I remember how proud I was of myself that I didn't celebrate because I thought to myself, I was just starting out as a journalist, and I thought to myself, see, I'm very objective. I didn't celebrate a single goal after Olympiacos' greatest victory in the Champions League. Then Arsenal 3-2 in London. That was insane because we became the first ever Greek team to beat an English team in England in the Champions League. And I'll tell you this, I got so drunk at the bar that night, I had no idea I was drunk until the final whistle. I drank so much beer. I don't remember how much beer I had, but I was so tensed because I just knew Arsenal would equalize and probably turn it around because that's how it always happened. And after the final whistle, it all went blurry for me after that. It all went blurry. And then, of course, the other Arsenal game with El Arabi, when I was at the office, and when El Arabi scored, I went nuts. I was just someone else. I started banging on the desks. I started screaming. I was just like, all my former colleagues at the Express remind me of that night.
There's a question here from Manos, and I'm trying.
What about Lepoyanis? What about Lepoyanis' three best
I'm sorry.
favorite matches?
Sorry, you were talking about mine.
How dare you rob me of this moment?
I'm so sorry.
It is a great moment. It is. Those are excellent questions.
So these are 3 games that I've been to.
Yes.
Because I've had time to think about this while listening to you guys. So number one. So the last decade, 3 games.
2013 onwards.
The first one is Anderlecht away, 3-0. Mitroglou hat trick.
First and only Greek player to score a hat trick in the Champions League.
Correct. That was amazing. We could have easily lost that game as well.
Yes.
And just Mitroglou hat trick was brilliant, man. It was all he scored all the goals. No, the first goal he scored in the opposite stand, link up with Saviola, but he scored the curler.
The third one.
The curler in front of us, and the second goal. That was a special night. That was a special one because I live in Brussels too, so that was a special one for me. And the next one is 3-2. Arsenal, the Arsenal game. I was at that game as well. Funny story, well, wasn't funny at the time. I was on crutches. I'd torn my calf muscle playing football here, and I travelled with the Eurostar anyway. I took the Eurostar, went to London, and go to the game on crutches, and I'm standing the entire game. Okay. Anyone who's been on crutches, anyone who's torn their calf muscle, had any tear of any muscle, will understand. So I just remember the third goal going in, man, and just like throwing both my crutches, like losing them after the third goal. And then I was like, oh shit, like.
Where did you throw them?
Mate, it was we went 2-1 up. They equalised, and then right after the equaliser, Seba goes down the left hand side, cuts it back to Cambiasso. Cambiasso flicks it over the defence, and Pardo pulls it back to Finn Bogason. Finn Bogason taps it in, and you're just like, just lose your shit. I lost my shit in my crutches went flying, and then I was with my dad, and my dad was propping me up, and then somebody at the end of the game was like, somebody lost their crutches, and my legs peeling enough.
Somebody lost their crutches.
Yeah, Costa knocked some guy unconscious with his crutch. The person brought it back.
An Arsenal fan stole the crutches.
So somebody brought my crutches back to me at the end of the game, and I hobbled back home after that. And that you said it was the Olympiakos' first win in England. I've been to a lot of Olympiacos games in England. We've lost against Chelsea, against United, against Arsenal. 4-0 here, 3-0 there, 3-0 at Stamford Bridge. So, nightmare. And then to win in London against Arsenal, being a Tottenham fan as well. And it was just fucking, brilliant for me. Sorry, Ari. And the third one is Olympiacos Barcelona. 0-0. Shit game, but incredible atmosphere. Valverde coming back.
Yeah.
We had Guillaume Gillet come on the show a while back, and he was telling us about that game, like what it was like to play at Karaiskaki that night against Barcelona, Messi coming to town, and just the atmosphere in the stadium. It was really this is what it's about, and this is who we are. And we let them know that night, even though we were shit, We didn't lose. I don't know, man. It was just something magic about being in the Karaiskaki that night. I'm not picking United because we didn't win the tie, and I think for me it's one of the biggest disappointments. One of the biggest disappointments of Olympiakos' history, not beating United. It was the biggest missed opportunity in our history to go to the quarterfinals again, and I don't even like watching that game anymore. It was, I think we had a great game. Magnatis and Campbell scoring that lovely goal. It was Dominguez.
Dominguez.
Yeah. It means nothing. So it means nothing. So you're 2-0 up and then you go and throw it away like we did at Old Trafford. Even with De Gea having a fantastic game as well. Just not, all we needed is a goal and we couldn't find it. And it's just, I don't like talking about that game.
Well, Jose Jorlebas, when he joined us, he told us basically that the team were scared. The team was scared when they entered Old Trafford. Go watch the interview, guys. I mean, that was one of the best interviews Gate 7 International has ever done. But that's what Jose told us, that the team was pretty much scared at Old Trafford. It was too big for them.
People should go and watch that interview. Seriously,
I
think I see some new names in the chat as well. Go and check out that interview. Seriously, it's worth every single second. With Jose, subscribe, guys. Remember to help the channel grow. There's some great stuff on our YouTube channel, some old interviews that we've done as well. Go and check those out. Make sure you go and have a look, watch those.
Thank you for the question, George. Thank you. It was a good question. Guys, before we wrap up real quick, Manos and Costa, sorry if I almost cut you off before, but this was the question I saw because Manos said the question was, so Fortunis came when Michel was here the first time. Mm-hmm. And that was that the same summer we got Eric Abidal and Milivojevic and
yes,
and Roberto.
Yeah, no, Roberto was the summer before. We got El Abdelawi, Masuaku, Afelai, Mito, who came back on loan from Fulham. He was shadowing Dominguez that season. It was Dominguez's last season as our starter, and then the next season under Marco Silva, he became basically our biggest, our flag bearer, our stand. He became pretty much the big guy, the big dog.
Right, because I remember, I just was remembering that summer, and I remember the hype around him, Olympiacos, he's coming back. And then we got Franco Jara that summer too, right? That was the same summer.
January.
It's January.
With that goal,
I keep forgetting that summer that Michel was the coach. That's crazy. I keep forgetting.
No. Wait. We signed Nelson Valdez that January window.
No, that was 2012, 2013. No, that was 2014. 2013, 2014 season. We signed Nelson Valdez and Perez in January. And then the
Labro's favorite defender, Alberto Bottia, right? We got him. We got him.
Hey! Don't you dare! Labros' favorite defender is Ramon. Don't you ever do that again! Don't you ever try and flip that script on me again!
What a summer that was, and the Swedish, who was the Swedish guy that we had? Swedish Turk. What was his name?
Durmaz.
Jimmy Durmaz. That was it.
I called him Jimmy Dolma. Dolmaz.
Dude. It's Stoke. The funny part is he probably can't. Oh boy. We need Labros back.
That was a good game, Mano. That was a good game. PSG. Samaris had a nightmare that game.
Yeah.
But he managed to make himself a career. Yeah, that was a good game, first half.
And the second half in Paris, where we actually thought we would pick up a result until Cavani's late winner.
No, man.
With Verratti being sent off. Anywho,
Anyway.
We thank you very much for your questions, guys.
No, Aris Kalamatis. Oh my God. Costa, next time somebody's is doing the live coverage at the stadium, that's how you're signing off.
Careful, because I'm thinking about going to Pau. I'm thinking about going to Karaiskaki.
Oh God, that would be amazing.
Careful.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening, especially those of you that made it this far. It's been going an hour and a half, longer than I expected, at least, considering this was a day where we didn't have a match. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Costa, does anybody have any last-minute things you wanted to say to everybody before we go ahead and sign off? Patreon again. Guys, there's great stuff that comes out on Patreon. Don't forget, for $1 a month, you can join the Patreon group chat and you get access to some of our inside info, some of it which doesn't always come to social media. It can be pretty controversial. There's good stuff that comes out there. We have some hilarious chats in there as well, debates, Bacacetas versus Fortunis. You can see it when you join. Some great debates that go in there about all sorts of crazy things. Don't forget, expanded content tier, you get the enhanced analyses. Every match, or we do at least one match a month plus a special interview. We did have an interview that's getting postponed, but we are getting an interview with Doran Leidner's agent, which is really fun. So check that out. Lambro's scouting report on Ramon's load. I tell you what, if that's what you want, we will do it. I will get Lambro to make a scouting report on Ramon. Christmas special. I think that's a great idea.
Oh boy.
Anyway.
We need to write that one down. We really need to write that one down.
Oh, don't worry. I'm going to send it to Lambro today. I'll let him know that it has to happen. So,
my God.
Thank you guys again for tuning in. This is Gate 7 International by the fans for the fans. Some fun stuff.
Pam Ethniki.
The national team plays tomorrow.
Pam Ethniki.
Olympiakos returns on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. And we will be back discussing all things Olympiacos at the end of the international break. So you guys have a good one, and we'll see you next time.
Spread the love.
Ocupa,